You guys have spent almost 3 years chatting at me about using my amazing dogs, who are perfectly trained dog models, to demonstrate things. But one thing that you guys keep repeatedly asking for is a video showing you how to get client dogs on a shoot, so you're with them actually on a shoot in real life, to go up onto objects, go up onto logs, go up onto rocks, to perform a behavior to get a better photo than you would have had on the floor. So with the help of 2 foster dogs who have stayed with us recently, and with the help of some client clips as well, we're going to walk through this process in baby steps. If you follow the steps inside of this video, there is genuinely no reason why you can't achieve this. I usually can get through this entire process in well under 2 minutes. So that to me doesn't disrupt my workflow, and the dogs are having a great time. We end up with amazing photographs as a result. So I want to share this with you, and so yeah, let's just get stuck in. I pulled my sleeves up because we're getting real now. To start with, you need to make sure 3 things. Number 1, if the dog is on leash and has to remain on leash, that's fine. Do not ever use the leash to pull the dog or yank the dog or move the dog in any way, shape or form during this process. If the dog is very, very small, we're talking like a teeny dog or like maybe a medium-sized dog, and the object is a little bit larger, and you think that they may struggle to actually get onto that object when they have done this process, then what I want you to do is follow these steps for as long as you possibly can. And then what I want you to do is ask the owner to very carefully place the dog on the object, and then I want you to continue the steps. So it's all the same stuff, just the part where the dog takes itself onto the object, you're going to have the owner do that for them, okay? If the dog at any point in any of this process shows signs that they are uncomfortable, we're talking licking lips, yawning, looking away from you or from the situation, or point blank refusing to move, especially if the tail is tucked between the legs, abort mission, abort. Just don't do it. Go do something else. Make sure that welfare is your top priority. Otherwise, you shouldn't be a pet photographer. I mean, that's the long and short of it. And finally, ensure that the object is stable. You have to make sure that you cannot manually move this object in any way, shape or form. It must not bounce, it can't be slippy, it can't be sharp. It must be a really, really solid object, and it has to be wide enough for a dog to easily stand on it without feeling like they're gonna lose their balance, okay? Some objects are wide enough and the dog still loses their balance. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later on, but as a mainstay, make sure the object is freaking safe before you do this. Otherwise, again, maybe this is not the career path for you. Safety is the top priority, okay? The top. Right, so we're going to get into dog training now. Dog training is a really, really big concept. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to say where you need to be, where the dog needs to be, where the owner needs to be, when to reward, and everything you need to know. So first thing is first, you have to have something that the dog truly loves. Like, they have to love this thing so much that they will ignore the owner, they will ignore other things, they will ignore the squirrels, and so on and so forth. They will ignore all of these things. So most of the time that is going to be high value food. Some dogs just love any food. So you're going to start near to the object, not too far away, within 2 to 3 meters of the object. And I'm going to want to ask you to lure the dog close to the object. So just, even if it's 1 step towards the object, all you're going to do is put the food in your hand or the toy or whatever it is, and just ask the dog to take a couple of steps towards the object. The second those feet move, feed, right? It's so important that you heavily reward that moment, because you're actually reinforcing nothing to do with the object, but more to do with following the hand to get the food. And that's going to help for later on. So reward heavily for a movement towards the object. You want to obviously make sure that the dog is not afraid of the object. So if you need to, desensitize by feeding lots of snacks or giving the dog lots of rewards in that area. I'm going to use snacks all the way through this because I usually find that snacks work best for most client dogs, but you might be having to interchange that with other rewards. That's fine. Otherwise, I'm just going to be spending ages going snacks or toys or praise or snuggles or a good boy, or you get what I mean. Okay, so if you are sure that the dog is happy, what I want you to then do is stand at a 90-degree angle to the object. So if this desk was the object, then I would go ahead and stand right up next to the object with my hip or leg next to the object, and then I would be looking kind of that way, and I would have the dog here. The same thing works in reverse. It doesn't really matter. You're standing very close to the object, you are, at a 90-degree angle to it, and you've got the dog in front of you facing towards the object. Okay, so this is positioning number one. So you're going to put your reward in your left hand if we're using this as our example, where I'm going to be facing this way, the dog's here, and this is the object. My reward is in this hand. And what I'm then going to do is just go ahead and ask the dog to take another step or come up and over the object. What I'm looking for in this situation is one paw coming off of the ground for a nervous, quiet dog, or for a dog to put one or both feet onto the object if they are super energetic and love the reward that you've got right now. So the second that contact is made with the object, heavily reward and move back away from the object. Then you're going to go ahead and repeat that a couple more times to make sure that the dog is really, really clear that interaction with the object is what gets them the reward. Now, if you needed the dog to just put two paws onto the object for like a tree stump or a rock, then, well, you've already got that, right? So you're kind of at the end. Go ahead and look at the handler transition back to the owner to make sure that they're aware of what they need to do, and then you can go ahead and take your shot. But theoretically, you've just shaped, well, it's not even shaped really, you've just lured paws up on an object, and the dog should be aware now that they only get the reward when their feet are on that object. So paws up is complete. If you want to know how to shape this behavior so that you can ask a dog to stand on anything with 2 feet without this kind of beginning part, then you want to go ahead and watch Bright Diaries from Bright when she was a teeny tiny puppy learning how to free shape a paws up on a box. The next step is about upping the ante a little bit. So you're going to increase the stakes available in this game, right? What I like to look for, especially with dogs who are new to this, is an object that has almost steps up it, or it starts low and then gets high, or it has a natural dip in it and then lifts. And we're going to start on the lowest area, and that's where you should have done the 2 paws up ideally. But then what you want to do is, again, still face at 90-degree angle, is have the dog lure up with the 2 feet. So the 2 feet are now on the object, and then you're going to kind of just bring the lure around you. You're not moving backwards. You're just going to bring the lure around you really, really slowly, and the dog should just naturally put all 4 paws on the object. There can be a moment of hesitancy between the dog being on the floor with 2 paws and then getting all the way on. That's fine. The second that all those paws go on there, heavily reward, jackpot reward, and remove the dog off of the object. So then now we're going to work through basically one of the final steps, which is to get the dog really happy jumping onto and jumping off of any object. And in this case, we're using this desk as an example. So what I want you to do is go ahead and stand the other way around. So yeah, it depends where the front of your object is. So where are you shooting from? You want to go ahead and stand facing away from that end. So you'll position yourself so that you're facing the wrong way to basically have a picture taken of you from your shooting position. You're going to start with the dog at your leg on the outside away from the object, and your inside leg, the one closest to the object, should be touching the object. So there shouldn't be a gap between you and the object. You're then going to go ahead and essentially show the dog the reward, or to encourage the dog to move forwards, and you're going to go ahead and start making a little circle around yourself. So you're pivoting on the spot and you're bringing the dog around the front of you. And because you're going to complete that circle, eventually the dog will be faced with the object, right? So you're going to just basically keep going on the circle, keep being encouraging, and the dog should, based on the work that we've already completed at this point, should just hop straight up onto that object. There usually is no delay, but if there is, just go ahead and reset. Now, a few things can happen at this point. Number one, if you are stood too far away from the object and there is a gap, the dog is likely just to wrap around your legs and basically be like, what do you want me to do, because you weren't close enough to the object. The second thing that can happen here is that your dog breaks the lure. So if you're using food and you move your hand too fast, then the dog can break the lure and kind of look away. That's fine. Reset, go again and move a little bit slower with the lure closer to the subject. The dog, the model, whatever you want to call them, right? The baby bear. It doesn't matter. If you are stood facing the object straight on and you just ask the dog to hop up onto the object, then what's probably going to happen is the dog's going to either jump straight over the object, jump on and jump off the object, or jump on and completely lose their balance and then be worried about getting on in the future. So it's really important that you use the little semicircle technique, because the way that the dog actually gets onto the object in that method keeps them nice and straight on so that they don't feel like they're going to lose their balance. Or if your dog does lose the balance, even though you've done the semicircle perfectly, then that's fine. If it's on leash, make sure you let that leash go slack and go with them so that it doesn't jab them in the neck. That's really, really important. But the second thing is to just let them figure it out. Let them figure it out. When they hit the floor, it won't be hard. They will be able to support themselves, because you shouldn't have put them in a dangerous situation from super high up. So let them pick themselves up, come around, give them a reward, and go ahead and try again. Okay? It's that simple. Keep positive, keep upbeat, and everything will be fine. If the dog is nervous, then make sure that you add more rewards in. If the dog is over exuberant and is just bouncing around, then try and calm your energy down a little bit more and time your rewards more effectively so that you're rewarding them for calm moments in between. If you've done the earlier steps, then the dog should be more than happy to go around you using the semicircle method to get onto and off of the object. And then all that's left to do basically is to try and work with them to get them into the perfect position to shoot. So if you've done the steps perfectly, then what you should end up with is a dog that is on the object next to you. Do not take the photo. Don't do it. Don't take the photo. You are not allowed at this point to just abandon the dog on the object, pass it off to the owner whilst it's stood on there, and then run to go and take your photo, get your settings sorted, get yourself sorted, get your composition sorted, get everything freaking sorted, and then take the picture. That is not fair, and it's not a good experience for the dog in the situation. You've just kind of abandoned them on a log or a rock or something somewhere. So what you want to do is the second that they're on there and they're in the exact right place, reward in that position and then move them off of the object before repeating a few more times to make sure that they are 100% happy with the behavior. Next, because the owner has watched all of this happen, you then need to pass the dog to the owner. Usually I say, is it all right for you to give it a try? And they say, yeah, sure, that's fine. Or I can try, because they might feel a little bit unconfident about the situation. So what they're going to do, they're going to take the dog from you. You're going to watch them close by. So you're not going to go and get ready to take the shot. You're going to stay close by. And if needed, you're going to coach them through it. So usually they will stand too far away from the object. They will face the object and ask the dog to get straight on it. You just need to reinforce the semicircle method. And usually it's absolutely fine. So you're going to watch them do it once or twice. And then you're going to go ahead and get into your position to take the shot. When you get there, you want to have the owner put the dog up on the object. They usually are in most client cases, especially in the UK, the dog remains on leash. And so if the dog is on leash in this situation, you want to make sure that the handler stays close to the dog whilst you get yourself sorted. And then when you're ready, they're going to take a little slight step to the side. Some dogs will glue stick and stick to them and come with them. That's fine. Reposition and go again. If that happens, then you need to make sure your attention happens first. So grab the dog's attention using your attention items or your noises or your balls or your duck sounds, whatever it is. And when you have the dog's attention, the handler can usually just sneak away a couple of steps to give you a little bit of a gap. You hold your position, ask them to remove the subject from the object, and then go ahead and take an empty shot of the scene in front of you, ideally keeping the same focal plane, and then you can composite them together, take everybody out apart from the subject, and it will look freaking epic. And that's how you train a dog to get on an object. And no, none of the dogs that you've seen during the clips of this video are trained. They're not trained, right? But they're not sport dogs. They're normal pet family dogs who are happy little things, doing happy little things in their houses, but they have never been asked to do this before. They've never been asked to get on an object before, and they've definitely never been put on an object by a weird person in a forest before this moment. So yeah, that's this video. Hopefully it was helpful for you. If it was, let me know. If you have any problems or questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll go ahead and answer them, and I'll see you guys again really, really soon.